Welcome back, travelers, to your referral roadmap. This podcast is dedicated to helping you unleash your personal and business revenue potential by cultivating referral relationships. In this 10-part series, we are giving you the tools to break you free from the productivity traps that keep you overwhelmed, overworked, and underfulfilled. If you've ever felt like no matter how hard you work, you're just spinning your wheels, stuck in that cycle of busyness instead of real progress, this series is for you. This isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters. So if you're ready to trade burnout for real momentum, let's dive in. Today, we're talking about emotional quicksand, how your feelings can hijack productivity. And man, Athena, I love that we were talking about this today. Some people don't know what emotional resistance or that quicksand is. So what it really refers to is that internal psychological barriers such as fear, anxiety, or self-doubt that lead us to avoid or delay tasks, thereby hindering our productivity. So these emotions can cause procrastination and a decrease in work efficiency. So I'm excited to dive into this, Athena. How about you?
Love it, because I'll tell you what, Jada, I am sick and tired of having amazing, talented people sit in front of me in either when I'm speaking or teaching or coaching, and they're not achieving what they want because of this issue. Like their emotions are getting them stuck. So if you're listening today, I just want to let you know that if you have ever felt like you've been hijacked, that your productivity's been hijacked, and that you are, you just can't get out of that emotional quicksand, you're not alone. You definitely please share this episode, because I think this is a unanimous human condition. What I really want in this episode is for all of you to understand and have awareness when it's happening to you. It's not a matter if it will happen to you, it's when it happens to you. And so I want you to, first of all, have no shame. That's like a reoccurring theme with me, no shame. But awareness, like what is it? What's causing it? How do I get out of it? And so I want to unpack that. But I'm really excited that people are here. I know this series is not everyone's favorite. I swear, Jada, if I was, they'd be throwing tomatoes. I keep saying that, but it's an important series. And I want to say, usually we interview more people than you and I talk. This series, it was so difficult to find experts that implement these things that it was difficult to find people to interview. That is how critical. This is a pandemic problem, productivity. So this is why we're doing this series, and this is why it's so passionate. So I want to really talk about what causes the hijack, what's going on, why does it happen to us? We're going to talk about psychology things. We're going to talk about strategies, all of the different things. But first of all, I want to talk about two things before I really get into the personal story. And that is understanding emotional resilience and avoidance. So these are educational things. Emotional resilience occurs when negative feelings such as anxiety, fear, or self-doubt cause us to avoid certain tasks. Ever been there? I'm going to double hand it. Been there, right? If you're listening, yep. You've probably been there. This avoidance is often a coping mechanism to escape discomfort, but it is ultimately leads to procrastination and hampers productivity. So recognizing this pattern is the first step towards addressing it. Awareness is critical. You have to be aware. You have to be in tune with your mind and your body in order to stop this from impacting you. So one other thing before I get into the story, because both of these things feed into each other, is the psychological impact. Am I saying that? The psychological impact. Yeah. All right, good. Woo! The psychological impact of low frustration tolerance. Okay, so what is that? Low frustration tolerance, you guys, there's an acronym, LFT, is the inability to endure unpleasant feelings or stressful situations. Individuals with LFT may avoid tasks that seem challenging, uncomfortable, leading to, again, procrastination, increased stress over time. But building resistance against frustration is critical to overcome this avoidant behavior. So I want you guys to know, no matter where you are, we do both of these things, okay? So Some of us have a little bit more resilience. Some of us can handle frustration a little bit better, but to some degree, we all go on a spectrum here. So now I want to tell you how this translates in real life. I think if you know my story, you can't deny that I actually have quite a bit of resiliency. If you know my whole testimony, my whole life story, professionally and personally, no one would argue that I don't have resilience. Matter of fact, I speak on it. I teach on it. However, this is what I want to, however, full transparency, like I'm being really raw. There are two different circumstances where I'm going to tell you where I absolutely was in quicksand. Okay. And one of them is from several years ago. And I'm actually embarrassed to share this. So
Thank you in advance for sharing, Athena.
I'm embarrassed, but I'm going to do it anyway. So years ago at the home building company, before I started my consulting business, I had spent, you guys, years and years and years dialing for dollars. And that's where you have to prospect. You got to get on the phone and you got to dial and dial and dial. And unfortunately for me, I had a lot of cold calling dialing in my history that I had to do. And I had to train people how to cold call, warm call, and high pressure call. So I had so much call going on. And I had done it for years, successful at it, etc. But about 8 years ago now, I was burnt out. Jada, I was burnt slick out. And I was so burnt out from making these high pressure calls that I would literally sit in front of my computer and I couldn't pick up the phone. It was the weirdest. I couldn't do it. And now I would sit there and I would waste time. I would create avoidance. I would do something else. I would get sick to my stomach. I would get sweaty palms, all the things. Now, you've got to understand, listeners, I teach people how to get over that. I had done it before I even did this consulting. I would stand in front of people and say, make that call, make that call. I went from that person to emotional quicksand. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't because I was afraid of being rejected. It wasn't because I was afraid I wasn't competent. It wasn't even that I was afraid, Jada, to fail. I was strictly just burnt out. And so I had to recognize, okay, this is not, a whole company is going to go under if you don't get out of this quicksand, right? You can't, when a company is dependent on you prospecting and rainmaking, you don't get to stay in your fields. You don't get to. I mean, the whole, everything. So I want you guys to know, this is really, listeners, I want you to hear this. We're talking somebody that, I was never afraid to pick up the phone and call anyone or teach anyone to pick up the phone and do it, to somebody who physically was getting physically ill to do it. Okay, that's the impact. We're talking almost look like two different people. So what do you do? And I'll talk through on the rubber meets the road what I did, but I really want you guys to understand I had to get over it because a company's revenue was dependent on it. But the important thing is I recognized it. I recognized that, hey, you're burnt out. You've been doing this for over, at that point, 13 years. You're tired. And you're going to have to figure out a way around this emotion. So I want you guys to have no shame. I went from this expertise to this quicksand, and then I had to recognize you're in quicksand. The theories I'm going to give you, the ideas I'm going to give you in Rubber Meets the Road are a lot of the ways I got out of that quicksand. However, I want to give you another example of emotional quicksand. And I'm facing it right now. So I'm being very transparent yet again. This is my transparent hour, I guess. I have a book that is almost completed. I mean, literally, right, Jada? It is this close. It's like, centimeters away from being done. And it's going to be a really good book. But I need to sit down and go through the book and edit it. I have editors and publishers. I have people way more competent than me, but I am the author, right? So I have to sit down and read word for word, make my edits, and really make sure that it's my voice, the impact I want to make, etc. And this is a life dream goal. This is something that I know. And by the way, I have 6 more books in me. So it's like kind of like I just need to get this one done so I can get the other 6 done like quickly.
Yeah.
But right now, the economy in the current situation. So if you're listening to this, the economy is great. Wonderful. Right now, things are a little bit challenging in the building world, in the real estate world. And so I'm giving a lot of my energy to that company to make sure that we sustain, we get through this, etc., which is the right thing to do. I have a consulting business where I'm helping other businesses get through this, where I'm giving of myself to do that. And the third is I have a child who is literally fighting for her life. And those 3 things are all happening simultaneously. Now, any one of you listening could be like, well, that's a good excuse. That's a good excuse. You're right. It is a good excuse. But I can't let the excuse stop the dream, right? But here's what's happening, and I recognize it. Every time I pull up my book, this thing that I've dreamed of, this dream I have so much, and I know it can make an impact on people. I go to read it, Jada, and it's like I'm reading Chinese. And it's my story. It's like I have a mental block, like a shield goes down. And I'm like, how is this happening? Like, you're this close to the finish line. Why would you do that? You're self-sabotaging. You're stopping yourself from your dreams coming true, from helping other people. And I had to unpack it and ask myself, are you self-sabotaging? Are you afraid for success? That happens, right? We sometimes do that. Are you, and asking myself all of these other psychology questions, but here's what the reality is. I'm burnt out. Right now, I am so generally tired from many months of hardship emotionally that when I go, I have to help keep the building business. I have to help my consulting business stay alive. I have to help my daughter stay alive. So what happens, Jada, is when I look at something that is like, this is just a dream, no one's going to lose their job if you don't do this. My brain emotionally says, I've done all the things that I have to do. I'm tired. That's emotional quicksand. I'm living it right now. It's embarrassing. It makes me cry. I'm sad by it. I'm disappointed in myself. All the feels. But I'm recognizing it. And so if you're listening to this, I really want you to understand you're not alone. We all face this at some point. I want you to take today's podcast serious. I don't want you to think you have to stay in the quicksand. I am not going to stay in the quicksand. And if I've learned anything, is that when I'm in the quicksand, if I'm fighting against it and denying it and not acknowledging it, Jada, I get further and further down. But by being aware and saying, you're on burnout, and this is what's happening, and this is what you need to do to get yourself to a point where you can climb out of the quicksand. So if I'm guilty of this, Jada will tell you this, that I often am like, I will grit through it. I'll just get through it. Okay, there's times that grit and fortitude is important. But there are times where we need to recognize that we're in quicksand and we need to address it, lean into it, and then use strategy to climb out of it. So, JD, I know you're witnessing this right now with me. And, I know you're a supporter. You care about me. And I know you want me to get the book done for multiple reasons. But you see me struggling right now.
Totally.
And, but, I wanted to share that with you guys. We've all been there. And, so by the way, listeners, the book will be coming out soon because I will get out of this quicksand using the rubber meets the road. And when you get my book and you read it, please know how much it took to write it, that it wasn't easy. And that easy sometimes is okay. Easy is good sometimes, but it doesn't always happen easy. And that the process helps us build that resilience. So, all right, I'm done talking about me, Jada. Is there
Well,
any science that helped me not feel so bad about this?
there is science, but first I just want to say thank you for sharing both of those stories, but especially the one that you're currently living, because I know it can feel sometimes harder to share the vulnerable, like this is the mess that I'm in right now and not the messy middle once I've gotten through it. So
Right.
just thank you for being vulnerable, Athena. And then yes, there is science. So hopefully it'll make you feel a little bit better, but I also want to share with our listeners. So I really want people to understand how emotions influence productivity because it is crucial for developing effective strategies to maintain that focus and efficiency. So there's 3 research-backed insights that highlight this connection that I wanted to share. And the first one is the impact of poor mental health on productivity. Studies have consistently shown that poor mental health, particularly conditions like depression and anxiety, are associated with decreased productivity in the workplace. A comprehensive review found clear evidence linking these mental health issues to increased absenteeism and presenteeism. So basically being absent and present. Underscoring the importance of addressing mental health to maintain and enhance employee productivity. So that's
Man,
the
as a
first.
leader, you better know that.
Definitely. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. Yeah.
For sure. So the second one is the role of avoidance coping in stress generation. Avoidance coping is a strategy where individuals evade dealing with stressors, and it has been linked to the generation of additional stress and depressive symptoms. A longitudinal study demonstrated that reliance on avoidance coping mechanisms can lead to both chronic and acute life stressors, highlighting the maladaptive nature of such strategies and their detrimental impact on mental health and productivity.
Man, that was a mouthful.
I know it was. I'm like, man, I can't believe I just pronounced all those words right.
I know. Happy for you.
It took a
However,
minute.
I know, like, here's the Athena, brief of that. If you avoid it, you don't grow.
Mm, yep. And then you continue to add more stress into your life because you avoid it. So
Oop.
it just compiles really is the gist.
Yep.
So the third one is positive emotions enhance workplace performance. And experiencing positive emotions regularly has been associated with improved mental health, reduced stress, and enhanced resilience. Research indicates that positive effect can lead to better task performance, increased creativity, and improved problem solving abilities, all of which will contribute to higher productivity at work.
So, it's interesting, Jada. I love that science. Thank you.
Yeah.
It makes me even not feel so bad that there's reality there. But you and I currently right now are creating curriculum about resiliency.
Yeah.
And I can't wait. And I think, I'm teasing that I have a book I've got to finish, but I think there's a second book in there
Definitely.
about some of the things that we are coming up with. Because as leaders, if you're listening to this, you're a business owner, this is a subject we need to address. We need to be looking at what are we doing to allow our teams to have resiliency? What are we doing to get them out of the emotional quicksand? What are we doing to address their mental health, etc.? And it makes me, I know I'm supposed to be done with story time, but can I interject something?
Go for it.
You're like, okay, whatever.
Your
No, I
podcast.
recently was introduced, and I think by the grace of God, because it just is a miracle, to a lady who is a colonel in the Air National Guard, and which is an achievement, by the way. A huge achievement for a woman, and she is of ethnic descent. So a huge achievement for her. But we got connected because she is an expert on resiliency and teaches it to armed forces. One of the things is she has so much data, Jada, and that talks about she is behind a movement that a base in Oklahoma is building a wellness center for the troops.
Wow. That's
because
really
there's
cool.
so much science saying if we take care of their spirituality, their mental, and their physical, that they will produce more, be more productive. And so, as leaders, we need to understand that is not woo woo. There is science, and she's getting the government to build this because of this science. So
Awesome.
amazing. Yeah, her name Lindy White. She's amazing. You can Google her. She's Googleable, and I get to call her a friend, and I get to share a stage with her here pretty soon. But I love that she takes this so serious, and as a leader, she wants to impact so many people in the armed forces to help them have the emotional fortitude to get out of the quicksand and go live their best life. So I'm fortunate to meet her and know her. All right, you guys. So let's talk about this. Rubber meets the road. And so you don't feel guilty. I'm going to be talking to myself. I just told you I'm living this. So as I talk through the rubber meets the road this time, I really want to tell you I'm talking to myself. Have you ever like tried to give somebody advice and had to be honest with them that, yeah, this is the pot calling the kettle black? Have you ever done that? So I sometimes, when I'm coaching people, something they're struggling with, maybe I'm at a different level within the struggle, but I may have a struggle too. And I'll tell them, hey, this is the pot calling the kettle, meaning I have struggled with this too, or I'm struggling. So just because you have a coach or mentor doesn't mean they have it all together. If they tell you they have it all together, be scared.
Might be a red flag.
Red flag. Yeah, right. All right. So, number one thing, we need to practice mindfulness and relaxation techniques. I know that sounds really wacky and like, how does that have anything to do with business? But I'm telling you, it has everything to do with our productivity at business. So, we need to think about practices like yoga, meditation, deep breathing, anything that helps us regulate our body. Now, I will tell you, this is something that I have had to learn. Life can be stressful, right? And you can have a business conversation. Sometimes my business partner and I have dialectic, tough conversations. And I don't shy away from them, and either does he. And oftentimes it'll boom, two bulls going at it. And when we come apart, usually a better idea comes from it. Even though if you have to watch it, it looks like we are battling it out.
It looks like you
We're
guys don't like each other sometimes.
you're like, they hate each other, but it's not the case. We actually have a lot of respect. We just boom. But iron sharpens iron is what I'll say there. But sometimes I'll get out of one of those conversations and I'll be riled up, even if it was productive. So there's a number of things that I'll do. Is I'll do a breathing technique. It's called the box breathing. Jada, I know you know about
I
box
know what
breathing.
this is. Yep.
Yeah. So you guys can Google it, box breathing. Maybe Jada can put it in the show notes, but it is a great tool. And you can do it at your desk. You can do it in your car, right? And what it does, it just calms your body down. Or you can stop and say a prayer, or if meditate. So I know that sounds silly, but what they do is you're in the middle of that heated moment when you get a second to yourself. By doing that, you calm your emotions down. You make your brain think about something else other than the emotion that is causing the elevation. And so you just re-regulate. So practicing mindfulness and relaxation, I suggest you have some techniques to be able to do that at work, but I also suggest you do it in your life, right? Doing some things in your in your life, incorporating some of that in your life. Number two, set small, achievable goals. Sometimes we put ourselves in emotional quicksand because all we're looking at is the big, audacious goal, which is overwhelming, stressful, and we feel like we're never going to do it. We're not good enough. We don't know how to get there, blah, blah, blah. Now, Jada and I have already talked about, the rocks and the pebbles, but these are small steps. So you may have a big goal, but you need to have small incremental steps to get there. So you have a path, right? So the small steps to me are the steps that allow you to achieve until you hit the big goal. If we're only looking at the big goal, we're going to put ourselves in emotional quicksand. Okay.
Yeah.
So small, attainable milestones. And so you foster that sense of accomplishment. And so you don't go into the emotional quicksand. Number 3, engage in physical activity. I know everybody's telling you to do it. They might be telling you to do it for a good reason. Our bodies weren't made to be sedentary. We're not made to be sedentary. I have a number of people, doctors actually, who've told me to get a grounding mat. Have you ever heard of this thing? Like a grounding mat. It's like a yoga mat that has energy in it. So it's supposed to pull negative energy and stuff out of your body. Sounds kind of woo-woo, but I have some people that swear by it. However, I've done a little
Interesting.
bit of research because those grounding mats are expensive.
Probably not
And
cheap.
no, they're like $1,500 or something like that, right? But I've read some articles that if you just go outside in the sun and put your bare feet on the earth, that the gravitational pull of the earth does very similar. We're connected, right? And I'm not trying to be new agey or anything here, but you guys, get outside. Get outside and walk. Do some jumping jacks. If you're in your office, stand up, do some squats, whatever it is. My new thing is I go out on my patio. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add here too, and those of you who have been following along for a while, you know that I have a baby, and I was in this program called Square One at my church, and it is for just new mothers with babies under 5 months old. So I went through their 8 weeks while I was on my maternity leave, and there was one piece of advice that they gave that is aligning exactly with what you're saying right now, Athena. And it's like, anytime you cannot get your colicky baby, your crying baby, whatever it is, to stop crying, take them outside. Something about being outside in the sun, even if you don't put their feet physically in the dirt, just being outside, it makes it all go away. And I am not kidding you, the amount of times that I walked outside on our back patio with my newborn because I couldn't get her to stop crying, and she had been fed, she'd been changed, and all the things. And I'm not kidding you, the second we walk outside, it's like refreshed. She was just completely calm. The second we walked back inside, however, it changed again. So then
Like,
we went
I'm going
right
to live
back
in a
outside.
tent outside.
Yeah, which she was a summer baby, so it was a little hot out there. We couldn't stay out there for extended periods of time. But I'm not kidding you, every single time we walked out there, it was a foolproof way to get her to stop crying.
Wow. All right. So
So,
move, right?
yep,
Move, go outside, enjoy the
yep,
sunshine if you can, for sure.
hmm
And move your body. I know
yep.
you're like, Athena, you're talking about business here. Yeah. I'm talking about you are a human being, and we're talking about how you stay productive. And you stay productive by moving yourself and getting outside and enjoying the nature. All right. Number 4, develop a supportive social network. Now, I'm going to tell you this. A lot of people, when they hear social network, they think social media. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is a true human connection group of people. I'm talking human to human interaction, not human interaction on computer. Make sure that you have relationships in your life, true connections, and people that you can call, that you can cry with, that you can laugh with, that you can be transparent and open and honest with. This is critical to success. It's interesting. I just this morning got off the phone. I have an accountability call every month with some gentlemen I have known, both of them now for over a decade, both extremely high achievable. Matter of fact, both of them, if I said their name, a lot of people listening would know who they are. But none of us live in the same area even. But when I talk to them, it's human to human. We're 100% authentic. We're honest. We don't put airs on. We're safe. We encourage each other. We are there for each other. It's life-changing. 30 days ago, I was talking to one of them, and he gave me some advice that in the last 30 days has changed the trajectory of my mental health, right? I could have read a book. I could have whatever. But because somebody that I love and respect said it to me, it hit so much harder. And I've seen the wave of impact. You need to have people in your life. I know, Jada, you have done, one of the things I'm so proud of you is you have done such a great job of ensuring that you have a great social network.
Yeah.
And it's critical. I mean, you're working, I mean, you've been married for a minute, but not over 10 years, and you have
Yeah.
a baby. I mean, there's a lot of new stressors in your social network. You can see it from the outside is helping you have sustainability and continue to grow. So I want you guys to really understand how important this is. I'm going to go on a tangent, and I bear with me. I had the privilege in the last 2 weeks to have coffee with a young woman who heard one of my podcasts, and she reached out. She's 21, and she said, "Hey, do you mind giving me some advice?" And I'm all about helping the younger generation and helping anyone I can. And so I made time. We had the most beautiful conversation, but one of her main concerns is that her generation is so connected only online that they have lost the ability to have true social connection. And she wanted to get my advice on how to pull her friends from offline to inline with each other. What a
What
beautiful
advice did you
soul.
give her? I'm curious.
Okay, well, what I did is I shared, because how she said, I told her she's not going to change people's behavior by telling them what they're doing is wrong. That will never work.
That won't ever, yeah.
What I told her is, if you have to emulate it first. So you have to emulate what you're saying, and then you have to be the person who pursues your friend. So often in life, we think if somebody isn't pursuing a friendship with me, then they're not worth my time, they don't want me enough, etc. I am somebody, and this sounds egotistical, but Jada will back this up. I have deep, long friendships. My friendship pool of real, authentic, I could call them, they would drop what they're doing, fly here, be here for me, is robust. And I'm very fortunate. And this young lady was like, "How do you get that?" And one of the things I will tell you is you got to emulate it, right? But I'm the initiator. Many of those friendships would not exist if I didn't initiate consistently. Now, I could sit back and be like, "Well, they must not like me enough because they're not initiating enough," and be all woo woo woo, poo 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 on me. I have never taken it like that. I'm like, if I want their friendship, I'm going to pursue it. I'm going to be the pursuer. I'm going to set the example. I'm going to do this. And that's why I have the wealth that I have, because I wasn't entitled and set back and waited for everybody to help me feel good about myself. Right.
Mhm.
I went out and pursued friendship. So that's one thing. The other thing is, love them where they're at. Right? Love them where they're at. I've got all kinds of different friends, and they're all a little quirky and weird and funky and all the things. I love them where they're at.
Yeah,
I love them where they're at. I'm not trying to change them. I love them where they're at. Now, I do have boundaries, right? I do have friend boundaries, but I love them where they're at. So those are I told her, you initiate, you bring them in one-on-one. She kept trying to do group activities, and it was too overwhelming.
Hmm.
So I said, pursue one-on-one. And she's like, what if they don't pursue me? And I said, keep pursuing them. Keep pursuing them. And she was wiser than me at 21. At the end of the conversation, she said, so you view friendship as a ministry from God? And I was like, I guess I do. I don't look at it that way. And
Yeah,
so she's like, I'm going to minister to these people, and I'm going to love on them with boundaries. We don't want to, we've got to, everything has boundaries. So
totally.
that social network, going out, building that network, connecting with people is critical for you to be productive at work. Okay. For you to be productive at work and your life. So think about that. What are you doing to ignite that in your life and build that in your life? And I feel like I'm talking too much today, but
You're
in this
okay.
in this season of my life right now, I just sent a text to some of my closest friends, and I said, I am so thankful that you're being my friend in a season where I don't have a lot of time for you. Right? Because I don't right now. And I wanted them to know how much I appreciated that. I don't have a lot of emotion to give right this second in my life. But I wanted to acknowledge to them how much I loved them and I appreciated it. And so even in those seasons, have that conversation, right? um, and keep the friendship alive, even if you can't physically be there as much as you used to, right? All right, enough about friendship and all that, but it's critical for it's. I mean, hello, it's critical to human survival. All right, number 5, maintain a health work-life balance. Now, I'm just going to tell you that's what science says. I don't think there's a balance. I don't believe in there's a balance. What I really believe is that you make time for your full life. And you know, Jada, you and I have talked about the wheel of life. What I mean by that, and you can Google wheel of life. I think we've shared it as a resource already. It's not a scientific thing I've created, but where you look at your life and you say spiritually, financially, um, friends, lifestyle. You look at your whole life and you say, what am I doing to work on all of these? What am I doing to have a full, abundant life? Because what you don't want to do is at 80 years old, be like, man, I got rich and I achieved so much and nobody's coming to my funeral because nobody cares about me. Right. So you need to look at your life and make sure that you are being purposeful about having a full life, a good life, whatever that looks like for you. And that you build your life so that when you are on your deathbed, you look back and you're like, that was a good ride. That was a good ride. You did the best with what you had, right? You did the best with what you had. All right. And last, you guys, embrace adaptability and flexibility. As a control freak, I don't like this one, but I'm telling you it's essential. And that is okay. So I've been telling you I'm in the quicksand right now. So I have been reaching out to my social network. I actually signed up to do a massage and a stretching class. I'm doing the things, right? But this is the one that is the most important, and that is being open to change, being open to acknowledging right now, this is difficult and this is what's going on. I'm going to acknowledge it, but I'm going to pivot and figure out a way to get this book done. And it may not look how I thought it was going to look, and that's okay. Right? So for me, and you guys can hold me accountable, I finally am getting a vacation in the beginning of June. And before then, I have a couple of days off, and I'm going to be working on the book during those days. And so it's not as soon as I wanted it done, right, Jada? But I'm being flexible, I'm adapting, and I've got a plan. I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to give myself some grace to get myself out of that quicksand. So I hope me being transparent here is helping you guys, because I don't want you to feel like you're alone at all. I want you to have a life that you feel like you have resiliency and that you know what tools you need to do to get that ladder in that quicksand, and you can get yourself out, because the world needs your talent. It needs your ability. If you're a leader, your team needs to watch you do it so that they can learn from it. And if you're a leader, you need to be looking at the people that work for you and what are you doing to help create that ladder for them too. Where do we go from here, Jada?
So, one challenge for everyone listening today, would love to challenge everyone listening to pick one of the strategies Athena talked about today and implement it. Really just start small, track that progress, and stack new habits over time. You're not going to climb that mountain on day one. So stack those habits over time and just choose one. Start small, just start. But after that, we want to invite you to join our Success Revolution. It is our weekly blog fueled by relationships, referral, and revenue. So we want to get those weekly growth strategies straight to your inbox. We also want to offer you our free Season 5 resource guide. So want to make sure that you download that. It has lots of goodies in it, lots of resources. And so just want to share that with you guys. And other than that, just want to remind you to like and subscribe so you can join us next week as Athena brings some real talk and real strategies on the 80-20 rule, working smarter, not harder. Can't wait to see you next week. Bye for now.
Hey, everybody.